I could hear you back there.
You're still here, thankfully.
Yeah.
Gary, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations on this role. The last time you were at the 92nd Street Y, we should say, was for Darkest Hour. So we like to think we're something of a good luck charm for Mr. Gary Oldman.
That would work, yeah. Yeah.
Do you believe in luck as an actor? Do you believe?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's a great deal of luck involved, and I have had really more than my fair share of it. There's commitment and ambition and talent and all of that, but there's an enormous amount of luck involved to it too. Whatever that is, fate, fortune, I don't know, but yeah.
And how has that manifested? I mean, can you pinpoint a time or two where luck sent you down one path as opposed to another? Was it the choice of a role, saying no or yes to a role, going to a school?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd spent the first few years in my career in the theatre, and then I was offered Sid Vicious in the thing, which I didn't want to do. I wasn't really into the punk movement. In my youth, I arrogantly thought, who the hell wants to film about Sid Vicious and Nancy? So I kind of dismissed it, and then it sort of came back. And anyway, I ended up doing Sid, and it's just by pure luck that the next role that followed was Joe Oldman, the playwright. So people are sort of like, mate,
contrast immediately.
You got this and you got this, and that was not engineered. Most of it has been. It seems to be my process that I turn something down initially, and then if it's to be, it will wash back up.
We got to drive the price up too. Let's be real. Come on, man.
For villains, yeah.
There's a certain rate for a Gary Oldman villain versus.
Yeah, which I sort of consciously turned that ship around.
You did. We'll get to that. There was that period where you and your compatriot Alan Rickman basically owned villains in the 90s.
No, I was typecast. It was like, we need a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, you did it very, very well.
A little over the top, but then, yeah.
No, I disagree. Okay, let's talk about this character, this role. Was this one that you initially turned down, like some of these other ones? Was this?
No.
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 What's the difference?
No. I have been a fan of long form. I mean, long form as in going back to Brideshead Revisited, I, Claudius, Upstairs and Downstairs, when I was a kid, So I've always enjoyed being able to follow characters, rather than a movie where you've got a window of 2 hours or whatever it is, And then this sort of incredible sort of seismic shift that has happened with television. At one time, there was a sort of snobbery, one was a film actor, and then you looked down on the people who did television. It was sort of, that doesn't exist anymore. And I personally think that some of the best acting, some of the best writing, the best cinematography, the best set design is on your TV in these shows. And so I would watch them and occasionally watch with envy and thinking, I'd really love to do something other than have that one shot to develop a character or play a character over an extended period of time. And it fell from the sky.
The character and the series.
The series, the genre, which I'm connected to through Tinker.
Which was one of your favorite characters, I understand, George
Yeah,
Smiley, right?
and so it came in, and it was everything I was looking for, because I'm often asked, who's Jackson Lamb, and why do you enjoy playing him? And I think I had said to my manager, Doug, who's here somewhere, I said, I'd love to do something. I'd love to be in a show, a series that's well written, where I use really kind of my own accent,
right? No
accents. I don't want any prosthetic makeup. I want to stay in...
You've done your time.
Yeah. I don't want costume changes. Yeah. I just want to be in the same clothes.
Yeah.
And,
it's a narrow...
in a sort of a spy genre thriller, MI5, MI6.
Wait, this was all this is a miracle, Gary. This was all your prerequisites?
Yeah, right? And this is what we were this was my Christmas list, I said, so find me that one. And you've got a week. Anyway, this came in and he called me and he said, you are not going to believe what has just sort of appeared. And I read the scripts. I did not know the books, but they were based on these books. And I read the script and read the first book, and I said, this writing is just fabulous. And that, he turns a genre that we're all very familiar with.
Yeah.
But it's anarchic. He sort of turns it.
Plays with our expectations a bit, right?
Yeah, and he gives you characters that are relatable, that are spies.
Right.
But we recognize them as human beings. You have the first series, Louisa. We see her at the laundrette doing a washing. I mean, Miss Moneypenny would never do that. So I just thought it was just wonderful stuff. But you were talking about luck earlier.
Yeah.
How about that?
No, truly. You just start playing the lotto, yeah.
At 60, whatever I was when it started, careers can often wane.
Right.
They peak and then, I feel really lucky and privileged to be in work also, to be doing the series and to be earning a living at 65 with a bunch of people who are the nicest bunch of people that you could ever hope to meet. The crew, the cast, everybody has come back every time. Makeup, hair, designers, costume, cameraman, the operator, the sound, they...
That speaks volumes, yeah.
And they keep coming back to the show. So, you open with luck. Yeah, I feel very blessed and very lucky to be doing it.
Not to mention, you mentioned the cast, which grows and grows, and they come and go in different ways as the story warrants it. But this season, I see the first episode, it's Catherine Waterston and this wonderful actor that you may or may not know, Chope Derisu, is fantastic. Jonathan Pryce is there. It's a remarkable group. I had the privilege of talking to Jack Loudon today, who's just this wonderful young actor. Actually, I want to show a scene, if that's okay, a scene from Slow Horses, the new season, you and Jack, because your dynamic in the show is a fun one, to say the least. Let's take a look at a clip. This is from the first episode of season 3 of Slow Horses, Gary and Jack Loudon.
That's one of the hardest things to do.
What's that?
Well, get dressed.
You don't like to be busy in a scene?
Yeah, but it's...
To make it look natural and...
and the timing of it. Because you've got to get it all on the button, It's the weird things we do. The most simplest thing that you don't even think about in real life becomes, like walking through a door.
Right.
Really, walking through a door and hitting a mark sometimes is... I'd rather have a 8-page... I'd rather have a monologue than get into a car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird how suddenly you go, I do this all the
Yeah.
time.
I forgot how to open a door.
Yeah. It's weird how that happens.
What stage direction do you dread seeing most on the page? Is there one you're like, oh my God, this again?
Well, I've had my share of being covered in, blood. And,
Right.
yeah. That.
You know what that's going to entail. You know how sticky that's going to be.
Yeah, especially when you know that the scene is going to be shot over a week.
Right.
Yeah. The most the most difficult thing I ever had to do, oddly enough, was in one of the, I can't remember which one, but in one of the Harry Potters, I had to lay by that lake. There was like a frozen lake, and I'm sort of dead, and the soul is leaving my body, and then, it appears, and the...
They didn't make you do that, did they? Like make your soul leave your body?
They don't teach you that at RADA. Although I've had my soul sucked.
I mean, you've been an actor for decades. Of course it's happened.
Oh, my God, yeah. There have been moments. There have been some movies, I tell you. Some directors that want your soul.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your wonderful story.
I don't even know if it's that wonderful, but it was just me laying down. But Harry Potter, they would shoot. It took forever.
Yeah.
It was slow. And you'd be on a scene for a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where normally you could do, we could shoot this in 2 days. Anyway, I was on that. What they did was they built this lake inside the studio, and they cooled it down, and they froze this lake. And I had to just lie there for a week, day in, day out, doing nothing.
Oh.
Doing nothing, but then you'd have to get, I've got, my kidneys are really they're getting a bit cold, and then they'd put the little hot water bottle under you, and then you'd lie there like that, and then day 3 you go, my neck is killing me in this position, and they'd put a little pillow underneath it. Yeah, the hardest thing I had to do was lie next to a frozen lake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Only 4 more Harry Potter movies to make.
With a few still to go. Yeah, they killed me off too early. I'm still upset about that. And we were all taking bets, It's Hagrid. And I was there going, no, it's going to be, maybe it's Ron, maybe she, and then you kind of open the script and you go, it's me. I'm out of here.
Did you have I mentioned Alan Rickman, I'm curious, did you have a relationship with him? Were you friends prior to that?
Yeah. A lovely man.
Apparently I saw you on the reunion special. You discovered for the first time that he was the only one that knew how the books ended. He got the inside dope from J.K.
He did. He had he had a sort of he had a special relationship going with her.
So does that, you have so many roles, which we're going to get tip of the iceberg tonight, but is that's one that will reverberate for generations. That one must come up every day, every other day? Does it just, more than other roles you think, come into your life?
Yeah, it's the most frequently, if they ask me to sign a picture, then that's the one that comes up the most, I think my work is mediocre in it, but...
Gary.
No, I do.
Well, I don't have words. Why? Why do you say this?
I don't know. Maybe if I had read the books like Alan.
No,
If
you're
I
both great.
If I'd got ahead of the curve a bit, I would have played. If I had known what's coming, I honestly think I would have played it differently.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just my own. My wife says, don't be ridiculous, but she often does.
But this is not unique to your career. Time and again, I've chatted with you before. You talk about this for so many roles. It's crazy to me.
No, tons of it. I'd put it all on a fire and burn it and do it all again.
Gary. How would you do Dracula differently now? Dracula, I have seen probably 25 times in my life. I'm obsessed with it. Yet I know you don't love that film.
I'm not crazy about it. No, yeah, I tell you what it is. There's probably actors here. Yeah, tonight. Any actors in the house? Any actors in the house? But it's like anything. I think that if I sat and watched myself in something and said, "My God, I'm amazing," right? That would be a very sad day because you want to make the next thing better.
Drive to, yes.
And you can't, it's so subjective. It's such a personal thing that you're looking at, that other people are not seeing. But it's not to disrespect someone who says to me, "Oh, I really love you in that movie."
Right.
And I'm thinking, I'm terrible in that movie. What are they talking about? It's not that.
Sure.
It's they're seeing something else.
Right. They're almost seeing a more objective piece of art than you are. You're taking your own.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then you also have that thing of you think you're maybe communicating something in a scene, and then you see it, and then you go, I wasn't quite doing that, or I thought I was doing something different to that. So it's nitpicking your own work, which is, it's healthy as long as it doesn't
debilitate you.
It can't debilitate you. You know what I mean? I mean,
You're not self-flagellating yourself every night. You're not.
No. And old work is old work.
Right.
That's.
Except in nights like this when I make you relive it in detail.
But it is sort of. It would be like, I don't know, sitting here with a painter and saying, what about your early work in the 60s? Or and they go, "Oh, yeah, that was my blue phase. I'm done with that now. I'm on to the next thing." So I'm my head is, I love the show. I like all the people. I like playing the character. The writing, I think, is very good. And I'm very, very happy to be doing it for as long as Apple write the checks, and keep us on the air. I mean, it's had a great critical response and a following, but it is ultimately up to Apple whether they're going to do all the 8 books or whether they're going to cut us off. So
we want to keep you acting. So this audience is going to spread the word. We want Gary Oldman happy.
And I do pop up. I mean, I did a week's work on. Do you know Paolo Sorrentino?
Beautiful.
The Italian filmmaker. Yeah. So I did a little cameo for him over the summer. And I popped up for a day in Oppenheimer. So I'm not.
We're not getting rid of you anytime soon. You're sticking around. Good.
I'm still around.
Dude, we talked, especially in the first part of your career, it was talked about you as this amazing chameleon. And you talked about those first 2 roles kind of like established the range you could do. And I said this to you once before. Like, I remember vividly seeing you on like a late night talk show at some point after I'd seen you in like 10 different roles and being like, "Oh my God, that's his real voice." Like, I had heard like 10 different Gary Oldmans until I saw the guy sitting here. Are those voices, are those characters all still in you? Like, is Churchill's voice there? Is Drexel still there? Like, if you were doing the one-man Gary Oldman review.
No, if I was doing a one-man Gary Oldman review, I would then have to revise.
Yeah.
I mean, the sketch of it is there.
Right.
But, I mean, I could, probably deal with Churchill, or you know what I mean? But I'm not doing it every day and focusing on it in that sense. So I could do an approximation of it.
Right.
But they all, my latest one, has anyone seen the Vikings? The series, TV series, The Vikings? Yeah, my new obsession at the moment is Floki. I like Floki. I'm just a simple boat builder. I like Floki at the moment, so
That's tickling you. You're
yeah, it's if I've got if I watch a show that's with Irish-based show, then for a couple of days, my wife, I'm Irish.
right.
Yeah.
So that's a mix of being an amazing natural mimic
Or,
and also a impish kind of sense of humor that has not left you since being a child, probably.
absolutely. Right? If it's Scottish, I'm Scots. When you go and pause it to go and make a cup of tea, and then I'm doing a Scots accent. You know what I mean? And then I can be Italian or Russian or I amuse myself.
I love it.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard you are an actor that actually likes a lot of direction from a direct. Like you want to be directed. You don't want to be left to your own devices. You're there to collaborate and hear from them. What do you want? Like what do you?
Well, it depends on who they are.
Right. If they've got the goods, great. If not,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they have an overview of the piece.
Right.
And they have insight into it that they're coming at it from a different sort of position in a way. They're looking at it at 30,000 feet, the whole thing, and you're very into the character. But a good directing is knowing when not to say something. You have directors who want to sort of justify or feel
Fill the silence and kind of
that they want to justify their position, so they have to, and that's not good. So it depends. I mean, I'll give you an example of a really fantastic piece of direction. I did 7 years, but kind of really about 7 years, with Chris Nolan and the 3 Batmans. And Chris is not a big note giver. He does leave you alone. He expects you to do your work, come in, and you do your work. I'm going to do my work, and so he does tend to leave you alone. He is not He's not one for small talk. You get there and you're there to work, and he's very charming, And I did a scene once in Batman, and he came up to me, and it was probably one of 2 notes he ever gave me in 7 years. And he came up to me and he said, "Let's do that one more time. There's more at stake." And I went, "Yep, got it, all right, let's do one more. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah? That's a fantastic piece of direction."
Yeah.
I don't need to know the ins and outs of the whole universe. I just need that nudge. And then you go, "Oh, he just wants me to just turn it up.
Yeah.
I just need to adjust the volume on it." Not vocally,
Right.
but the energy or the dynamic of it he wants, And I use that as an example because that is just a really fantastic piece of direction.
Well, because you know your tools.
Yeah.
They know the feeling they're trying to get out of a scene.
Yeah. And that is, but I like being directed, yeah.
Well, it's funny, your recent collaboration with Chris Nolan, is, I think, a day on Oppenheimer. I often have talked to actors and filmmakers, the hardest thing to do is to jump into a film, 1 or 2 days, and just seamlessly blend in.
Yeah, with Chris, I didn't know exactly where they were in the shooting of it.
Right.
Cillian Murphy is one of the sweetest guy on earth. He is such a lovely man.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd crossed paths with him from the Batman. Chris said, "You want to come in for a day and do this?" And I said, "Sure." I went, "Great," and I had the scene with just Killiam. It was terrific, but I did not know where it was in the shooting or anything like that. I maybe, if I had known just the sheer scale of it, and I may have been a little more intimidated. I don't,
Right.
But it was just a man talking to another man in a room.
Right.
So it was very sort of intimate, interior. And then you see where it falls in the thing. But that, again, was, Chris just said, he trusted me to put it together.
So speaking of Nolan, actually, I had a few kind of like setting the record straight questions for you, 'cause some rumored roles that might have come or gone in your career. One is that Chris Nolan initially wanted you to play Liam Neeson's role in Batman Begins, Ra's al Ghul. Do you remember that? Did he initially ask you to play that role instead of Jim Gordon?
I got a feeling it was Scarecrow.
Oh, okay. Another baddie. You're good with baddies.
And that was about the time when I sort of was thinking, I've had enough of this.
Right.
And I think it was Doug, my manager, said, or suggested to Chris, what about Jim Gordon? And to his credit, Chris, that's interesting. And we met, and that's how it sort of, came about. But I think it might be Scarecrow, I'm not sure.
A couple others that supposedly you turned down, Edward Scissorhands and Morpheus in The Matrix. Do you recall either of those coming up? The Lawrence Fishburne role.
I don't remember Morpheus. I have a story about Edward Scissorhands.
Okay.
I wasn't offered the role, but at the time my agent was like, there's this interesting filmmaker and what have you. So I'm one for not. I don't want to waste someone's time. I don't want to go in and meet them if they like me,
right,
and then they...
No false hope. You don't want to...
Yeah, and then they offer me the part. I think it's rude to then go, I've spent 2 hours with you,
right,
and no, I don't want to do your film. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I hate wasting people's... time is the most valuable thing. It is the most valuable thing that someone can give you, is their time. And I hate wasting it. So I didn't go in and meet Tim Burton because I didn't get the script. I read it and thought, there's a castle on a hill, this guy's got scissors, there's an Avon lady, there's I don't get it. It's, Anyway, I then cut to a year or whatever later, I then go and see the movie, and the camera tracks over all those multicolored houses, and it ends on this castle in the background, and I went, yeah, I get it.
So one piece of bad luck in an otherwise lucky career. One.
Yeah, and there've been a few that have got away, but there's quite a few actually, but I can't really, I can't talk about them because it's not really fair on the people that ended up doing it.
It's fair.
You know
I
what
get
I
it.
mean?
I get it.
Yeah.
You've said Quentin Tarantino's words very famously, but you've never been directed by Quentin.
Never. No, he never asked me to be in a film.
This is crazy to me. So there was like a cast list that circulated last year from Pulp Fiction way back when that you were on. Did you ever know about it at the time?
No.
He had you in mind.
Well, he's only making one more film, isn't he?
I know. It's time. Quentin, come on.
Yeah, well, he's only making one last film, he says. And I ain't in it.
But Drexel remains one of your favorite roles, doesn't it? I mean,
oh, my heavens. It was...
What a swing. I mean, that's like, if that goes down, you're going down in flames. That doesn't work.
I never even read the script. Tony Scott met me. And God bless his soul. And he was there in his pink shorts, and his big cigar, and his baseball cap. And he said, look, I'm no good at telling the story and the plot and the thing of the film. He said, look, the character, he's white, but because of the culture and everything else, he's white, but thinks he's black.
Right.
And he's a pimp. And I said, I'll do it. Sounded interesting.
You're like, I could practice that voice in the mirror and amuse myself for a few weeks. That could be fun.
Yeah, and then I was doing a film at the time, Romeo's Bleeding, and I was in New York on location, and I heard this voice outside the trailer, and I thought, that's a good Drexel voice. And it was this young black kid on the street with some friends, and I approached him and said, would you come into the trailer and read a bit of text for me and record your voice? And so they all came in. And he looked at the text and he said, oh, I would never say that. That don't fly. No, I would say this. And so I changed some of the words, to this kid, and presented that to Tony. And
the rest is history.
yeah, and it wasn't. It's that. It was that way back. You remember that whole? It was like what they called it. They called him Marky Mark, and
Yes. Big Funky Bunch fan, a long time.
And that, those people that well, they still do, but
Sure.
very much embrace the culture.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of guy. But I had a ball on it. I was on it for 3 days. Yeah.
I'm curious, did the lifestyle of an actor is kind of a crazy one, right? It's an itinerant lifestyle. It's an unpredictable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you've been very candid in talking about your troubles as a young man and the stuff you went through. Did that contribute at all to that? Did the craziness of being an actor, the itinerant, the unpredictable nature, not mesh with the stuff that was in you that you were dealing with, or do you see those as totally independent?
No, it's
issues?
all part of the.
Yeah.
It's who you are. I'm not playing a violin or a piano.
Right.
It's me, a version of me, and it's having a certain facility, really. If I'm crying in a role or weeping, or that's Gary crying,
Right.
but through the prism of Dracula, or
Right.
it's not a thing over here. It's in you. It's part of you.
And that takes a toll. That can.
Yeah, I think it's. Many years ago, I was asked this question many years ago, and it's you go into work and you shake up all of these emotions, or memories or whatever you use to do it. Everybody's got their own
Right.
different type of technique, but you find your thing and you're shaking it up all like a snow shaker. And you're shaking it all up all day. And then at the end of the day, it's still inside the glass. It's not therapy,
Right.
and then you're supposed to sort of go home, I don't know, and have a beer and put your feet up, and I found it if you want to be good at something, you have to really dedicate yourself to it, to the exclusion of everything else. And I have found that there have been relationships and all sorts of things that have gone by the way. We're very selfish. You have to be really selfish to be. Do you imagine being a concert pianist?
The amount of
And
dedication
then,
and time.
and someone has to live with that.
Right.
You know, or, yeah.
But you clearly found a balance at some
No, I've now, at 50, however old I was when I met Giselle, who's here, my wife, I've found it late. But I'm lucky, I think, because I found it. And some don't, you know. So I'm at a place in my life now, in that sense. And I'm with someone who understands, who is she's creative in her own right, but has been around creative people for a long time. It gets me. You know, it's when I start working on a role, I'm told, she tells me this, I've not really sort of sat down and analysed it, but I become remote. I'm there, but I'm not really there. I sleep a lot. I procrastinate. I do all these things.
This is just me on a normal Tuesday,
That's
Gary. I don't know what you're saying.
And that might be for a lot of people. You go, that's every day for me. But I do. Now, you have to then be with someone who, if you are focusing on your work, or you're closing off, or shutting down because you have to focus, they have to understand it's not personal.
Right. This is just the process, and I still love you, and it's going to be back.
Yeah, and then the process works its way out, and you know, so it's yeah, and all of that, that whole life, the journey is my journey, you know, and it all feeds into the work.
The journey took you finally to a long overdue Oscar a few years back for Darkest Hour, and another exceptional performance. And I rewatched your Oscar speech, which is one of my favorites, and it's a really sweet moment.
Is it?
Yeah. You should check it out. You, at the end of the speech, I'll refresh your memory, I'm sure you remember this.
Yeah.
You thanked your then 98-year-old mom.
Yeah.
You said, "Put the kettle on, I'm bringing Oscar." And it is bittersweet. I mean, she passed pretty soon thereafter.
She waited.
Do you think that's true?
Yeah. She was nearly 99, almost 99, when she went brilliantly. We were all having fun with my kids at the dinner table, and she had a massive stroke, and never really, and that was it, kind of. You know what I mean? She was really not there.
Yeah.
But she was laughing one minute and sort of gone the next. But she would always say to me, "Oh, you're going to win an Oscar one day, you know, darling, I know you're going to win an Oscar." And I'd never really played the game, you know. I thought, you've got to kind of play the game a bit, and you know, you don't just get one, you know. You have to sing for your supper. And I thought, well, that's very unlikely. It's unlikely. And so I just say, yeah, you never know. One day, Mum, you know, yeah, you never know. And I think she held on. I really do. And I won the Oscar and she died.
Did she see it? You brought it home?
Yeah, and then she let go.
Crazy.
Her mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. A few questions from the audience. How much time do you spend in makeup wardrobe to get the Jackson Lamb look? This seems like...
It's really good because it's half an hour. They put broken veins on my nose and give me some blotches. bit of yellowing under the eyes, you know, because the liver's giving out. And lots of grease and muck in the hair. And the clothes, you know, it's the same outfit. I change, you know, I have a Mac and an overcoat, you know, that's it. So
I do have to say,
if it's summer, I have the Mac, and if it's winter, I have the coat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first, all you need to know is in the first episode of the new season, I think you're mistaken for a homeless man in your introduction, literally.
Yeah, I look like someone in the park. Yeah.
From Michael, how much, if at all, does George Smiley inform Jackson Lamb?
Well, they're both the smartest man in the room. They're both incredibly. I think I described Smiley a bit like an owl. You know, he was just very still, and he could just move the head and take in everything. He could see everything, you know.
Right.
Jackson's very much a different motor, more damaged, way more damaged than Smiley. But yeah, they're similar in as they've got, I think, a great moral compass. You know, for all his flatulence and which is all part of the act,
right? In
a way, he gives you the impression that he doesn't care, but probably cares more than most.
Yeah.
He's in and he's out. He's burnt by it, but can't quite let go of it. You know, and all of that is his distraction. So he's very, you know, he's very, very smart and very clever, and you can underestimate him. I think that's his trick.
Right.
It's not, obviously, it's people, I mean, we have season 4 in the can. Yeah. In fact, I think we owe a couple of days on it that we have to pick up because of the strike. But season 4 is it's going to be a dynamite. Yeah. And I am very, very much underestimated by someone in that. They take my appearance and all of that, and they go, I know who you are, and they have no idea who I am. So that plays a little in the next round when it comes along. But that's all I can say.
You know how to tease an audience.
Yeah.
Arter wants to know your favorite actor, alive or dead. Do you have a go-to favorite actor?
I was talking about him earlier, in fact. Gene Hackman.
Yes.
Yeah, Gene Hackman. I mean, there are many, many, many wonderful actors and actresses, and for all, and we like them for all different reasons. Sure. You know, you couldn't just have a diet of Gene Hackman in I wouldn't mind, but you know, in everything.
Yes.
You know, of course you need, but I think George C. Scott is up there. I have developed a kind of new appreciation of Laurence Olivier.
Oh, interesting. On screen, because often it's said he was one of the great options.
Dynamite on stage.
Right.
But yeah, I've got I've just got a new appreciation of him. But I would put Hackman up there. I think that The Conversation is a masterpiece. It's from it's perfect. It's perfect, and his performance in it is, extraordinary. And then of the younger generation, I got to say that I think Kate Winslet's the best we got.
Sorry, I missed it.
Kate Winslet.
Oh, Kate Winslet, of course. Yes, yes.
I think she's magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah, could do anything. And I always believe her. And
Well, that's the key. I was going to say about Hackman, never a false note in
no,
anything. Like, it's just your... he's not reading a script.
And I could rattle off,
Yeah.
there are many. Albert Finney.
Sure.
You start to go through the list, and then you, of course, De Niro. And does it get any better than Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon?
Yeah.
Meryl in Sophie's Choice. I mean, come on. You can then go down the list.
Right.
Apocalypse Now.
Duvall and everything.
Yeah. But I think for me, Hackman he's my number one.
We're going to end with the Happy, Sad, Confused. The time has flown by, Gary. The Happy, Sad, Confused, profoundly random questionnaire. Do you collect anything? Is there anything you collect?
I collect cameras.
Are you a photographer? Or are you?
Well, I like to think I am. In my spare time, this affords me some of that because I do a show and then I have a break.
Right.
But I take pictures. I do wet plate, 19th century wet plate photography, and kind of regular.
Ever display it publicly, or is it?
I have done in the past. I used to carry a wide lux camera around with me, and I had an exhibition of Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy, and I also exhibited some Book of Eli pictures that I'd taken, but it's a hobby, and I just like the process of a film. It's a dark room, chemicals.
Yeah.
Everything
compare notes with Jeff Bridges on The Contender? Doesn't he do the wide lux on every film?
Yeah, he's got a couple of books come out, and I've always liked a camera and always liked photography. So my wife and I collect photography, and my sort of side of it is it's 19th century cameras mostly. It's not sort of modern cameras. You know what I mean?
Got it.
But that's a nice. It keeps me off the street.
Keeps you out of trouble.
You never asked me about directing, did you?
You're directing Neil by Mouth, of course. Tell me about...
Well, no, I just wondered because my DP's in here tonight.
Is that right?
Ron Fortunato.
If you guys have never seen Gary's only one directing effort, why is that, Gary? Did I open up Pandora? You mentioned it, to be fair.
Yeah, but you ran with it. No,
I thought we were in sync. We were not.
No, not for want of trying.
Yeah, it's tough to get a project going. Have you?
So there've been, over the years, there's quite a few scripts. And there's one in particular that I'd like to do, but it's 11 years now since I first wrote it. And I had a piece that was not like Neil by Mouth, but I think with the same honesty and the same intensity.
Right.
But you come up against these. You have to go. Obviously, you don't. I used a lot of my own money when I made Neil by Mouth, and I won't ever.
I was going to say that's the cardinal rule.
Yeah, it's the cardinal rule. Don't ever do it. But The thing is that I didn't collect Ferraris and things, and I had a little bit of money saved, you know, and I bought myself a moving picture, basically. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was never intended to ever go beyond. I said, look, you know, if no one likes this, it stands and falls with me. If it's no good, it's no good. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, and I'm happy to have it and get it out every 5 years to show a couple of friends. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I went in with that frame of mind. It's very liberating.
Right.
You're
only pleasing yourself. You're not trying to.
I don't
chase.
have.
Yeah.
I don't have Harvey Weinstein at the end of it who wants to recut it.
Yeah.
And rewrite a scene and then reshoot and all the rest of it. Here it is.
Yeah.
This is it. And he used to do that a lot, by the way.
Oh, I know. Harvey Scissorhands. That was his nickname.
Absolute pig. What a pig of a man. Yeah, you know, I tried to get other things made, but it's a very tough game. You've got to go to the people with money, and then they make casting suggestions
Right.
that are absolutely ludicrous. Even if they're, you know, there was once, I was up for a role once, and the other two people up for the role was Leonardo DiCaprio and Harrison Ford. And we were the three in the running.
What?
Ridiculous.
Who got it?
I don't think it was ever made. And you know what? If that's the sort of casting that they were going for, then it's a good job it was never made. You know what I mean? Because they were idiots.
Yep.
But that's the sort of thing you're always dealing with. You know, there's a lot of there could be a lot of people at the table.
Yeah.
And it really can be too many cooks in the kitchen. What we have with the show here, I think, all the producers get on with one another. There's no bickering, and we go through extensive conversations and meetings so that going in, we're all on the same page.
Same director for each season. That's a huge part.
Yeah, that was a big thing. At first, they were very resistant against it. It's too tiring, and I think Doug said, you know, when they did, is it Raymond Burr?
Perry Mason?
Yeah, they did 32 of them a season or something. You know, he said, what are you talking about? You know, you can do 6, and a director can shoot all 6. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we have that vision and consistency in the direction. One real vision of it. And everybody's on the same page, and we go in, and we all kind of know what we're making, and that is unusual. Where you've got so many, you can have a situation where you've got so many differing of opinions.
Right.
That someone thinks it's this, someone thinks it's that.
Well, then it becomes nothing. It's a mash of 100 ideas.
Yeah, we know what show we're making.
Yeah.
So.
We're over time, so I'm going to ask you one last thing. Right. You told me one of the best notes you got. What's the worst note a director has ever given you?
The worst note directors ever given me?
Or it could be hypothetical. It doesn't need to be a literal. What would the worst note be to get for you? What's unhelpful?
Well, I've had notes in the theatre like, it isn't gelling. you know, you got any ideas how to fix that? You know what I mean? It's, I've had directors scream at me, and there've been some really, not in the, once in the films, once in the movie career.
I can make a guess or two, but we're not going to go there.
What's your first guess?
Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Who would be your second?
That was my only one, actually.
Okay.
That jumps out. Is there another? Wait, I need to go back to the filmography. Give me a second.
No, leave it. We'll leave it there. Oliver Stone. Yeah, he did. He could be a bit noisy sometimes.
But that's what surprised me before you, because you were saying, like, that's one of your favorite roles too, as it should be, I would think.
Yeah.
And I would think Oliver is all up in your business. Like he's just like not. He's a lot. And
I tell you what, though, here's this thing that would surprise you. It was one of the great experiences. There wasn't a great deal on the page, and he gave me plane tickets, per diem, and said, go to New Orleans, go to Dallas, and find out who Oswald was.
wow.
And I met people who said they knew him, maybe they didn't, but you know, I met people in New Orleans they knew Oswald, they knew Jack Ruby, you know, and it was sort of being sent out into the world like an investigator. And he gave me a great deal of freedom in that respect. And then they did the most remarkable thing. We shot at the police station, and Jack Ruby, you know, he shoots me in the movie, absolutely where Oswald was shot. And I'm actually handcuffed to the real detective
Come on.
that was handcuffed to him. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what they did, they had refurbished the police station, and I can't believe this, that they allowed the production to do it. So you go down into where the ambulance was, you know, where they go into the back entrance of it, down. They took a jackhammer, or they kangared the entire wall away to reveal the original doorway of the police station where Oswald came out. Yeah. So they took this whole building away to reveal the building behind it, and did it all up like as it was. And I'm then walking out, and Jack Ruby comes out and shoots me, and there's that very, very famous picture of Oswald kind of going like with his mouth open, like, as he gets hit with the bullet. And for some reason, I don't know, I couldn't get this. Oliver decided that I just was not doing this moment correct. You know, like, you're going, oh! And it's like, cut. No, well, he's getting shot, so it's, oh, you know. And I'm trying to sort of do this moment, and he got really in my face with that. Are you, Gary, you trying to sabotage my movie? That's the sort of direction. You're sabotaging my movie. You're doing it deliberately. Do it better. Just do it better. And that was the one day. That was the one day where I was getting upset because I wanted to give him.
Sure.
You want to give a director what they want.
Yeah.
You really
You're there
do.
to service their vision. You're there.
You have to service their vision, and you come in and you've got ideas, but ultimately, you are like a waiter or a, you know what I mean? You come in and you want to serve their vision, exactly. And I was getting more and more upset, and it was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm going, ooh! I don't know how many different ways
I only have three variations on "ugh" to me. Yeah, it's like.
But the cop who I was attached to, Jim, his name was, can't think of his second name, Jim, and he was handcuffed to Oswald, and the bullet went, I think, through his liver and his spleen, and the reason why Jim didn't get killed, like, because he was on the other side of him,
right,
is that it came out and was inside, the bullet was hanging from a little piece of skin on the other side of his body. And he said, you know, if it had hit a different organ or missed an organ, it would have come through and hit me too. But yeah, good gig, JFK.
Yeah, I'd say. I did my best to suppress my inner fanboy. I don't think I did a good job tonight, Gary.
No, you did very well.
Thank you, sir. You always do very well. You're a legend, sir. I mean, you have influenced generations of actors and fans of film, and you continue to do so. Slow Horses on Apple TV+. It's now in season 3, season 4 already in the can, and it sounds like you're in for as long as they're in, right?
As long as they're in, as long as Apple's in, I'm in.
Excellent. That is the best news of the night. Congratulations on the show. Everybody spread the good word, and please give one more round of applause for Gary Oldman.